The Untold Story of Bruce Lee's Two Children. Bruce Lee's Legacy, The Man Before the Myth. Bruce Lee was born Lee Junfan on November 27, 1940, in San Francisco's Chinatown. His birth coincided with the Year of the Dragon during the Hour of the Dragon, something his mother would later say marked him for greatness. His father, Lee Hoi Chuen, was a renowned Cantonese opera star, and his mother, Grace Ho, came from a prominent Hong Kong family. But Bruce's early years were not without struggle. When the family returned to Hong Kong after his birth, they found themselves in a city under Japanese occupation. From a young age, Bruce was drawn to performance, appearing in films as a child actor, but also to physical movement. After getting into fights in the crowded streets of post-war Hong Kong, his parents enrolled him in martial arts training. Under Wing Chun master Yip Man, Bruce developed not just skill, but discipline, a philosophy that martial arts was about self-mastery, not just self-defense. In 1959, after yet another street fight and a warning from police, Bruce's parents sent him to the United States. He finished high school in Seattle, waited tables, and began teaching martial arts, blending Wing Chun with his own ideas about adaptability and efficiency. By the mid-1960s, Bruce was making a name for himself not only as a martial artist, but as a thinker. His style of no-style philosophy, Jeet Kune Do, emphasized directness, freedom, and personal expression. He was also breaking barriers in Hollywood, first as Kato in The Green Hornet, then as a fight choreographer and martial arts coach to stars. But Hollywood had limits. Producers were hesitant to cast an Asian man as a leading hero, so Bruce returned to Hong Kong, where he became a box office phenomenon with films like The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, and Way of the Dragon. His final completed film, Enter the Dragon, was a Hollywood-Hong Kong co-production, a global debut for a global star. On July 20, 1973, Bruce Lee died suddenly at the age of 32 from cerebral edema, possibly linked to an allergic reaction to pain medication. His passing shocked the world. For fans, it was the loss of a hero. For his wife Linda, his 8-year-old son Brandon, and his 4-year-old daughter Shannon, it was the loss of a husband and father. The Lee household went silent. The man who had seemed invincible was gone, leaving behind not only unfinished films and teachings, but a family whose lives would be defined and tested by the weight of his name. Brandon Lee, 1965 to 1993. Brandon Bruce Lee was born on February 1, 1965, in Oakland, California. From the start, there was an energy about him, the same restless curiosity his father had. As a child, he was mischievous but thoughtful, often asking questions far beyond his years. When Bruce was filming in Hong Kong, Brandon was often on set, watching his father with wide eyes. He saw not only the fight scenes, but the long hours, the rewrites, the creative disagreements. It gave him a unique view of fame, the glamour, but also the grind. When Bruce died, Brandon's childhood shifted overnight. His mother, Linda, moved the family back to the United States, first to Seattle and later to Los Angeles. Brandon attended high school in Rolling Hills, California, but struggled with the discipline of traditional education. He was bright but restless, preferring philosophy books and martial arts training to classroom lectures. Although he studied Jeet Kune Do under his father's students, Brandon resisted the idea of becoming a martial arts icon. He wanted to make his own mark, and acting seemed the way. He studied theater in New York, took bit parts, and endured the kind of career stalls familiar to any young actor. By the late 1980s, he landed roles in Legacy of Rage, Laser Mission, and Showdown in Little Tokyo with Dolph Lundgren. These films showcased his physical skills, but also hinted at a depth that went beyond action choreography. In 1993, he was cast as Eric Draven in The Crow. The role was unlike anything he'd done, part rock star, part tragic avenger. Friends said Brandon poured himself into it, seeing it as his breakout. He spent hours choreographing his own stunts, discussing emotional beats with the director, and bringing an intensity that electrified the set. On March 31st, tragedy struck. During the filming of a scene where his character is shot, a prop gun was improperly prepared, containing a live fragment from a dummy round. The gun discharged, striking Brandon in the abdomen. He was rushed to the hospital but could not be saved. He died at 28, just weeks from marrying his fiancée, Eliza Hutton. He was buried beside his father in Seattle's Lakeview Cemetery. After The Crow was released posthumously, audiences saw what might have been a layered, soulful performance that could have marked the beginning of a remarkable career. Instead, it became a haunting final note. Shannon Lee, 1969 to present. Shannon Emery Lee was born on April 19, 1969, in Los Angeles. Her earliest memories of her father are sensory: the sound of his voice, the way he moved, the smell of the sweat and leather from his training gear. When Bruce died, Shannon was just 4. She didn't yet grasp the permanence of loss, but she felt the shift, the way her mother's tone changed, the quiet in the house, the absence of her father's laughter. Growing up, Shannon was shielded from some of the harsher aspects of fame. Linda kept the children grounded, focusing on school and normalcy. Shannon attended Chadwick School, excelling in academics and music. She had a natural gift for singing and later majored in voice at Tulane University, performing in operas and musicals. But the martial arts world was never far away. After Brandon's death, Shannon felt a stronger pull to her father's teachings. She began training seriously in Jeet Kune with her father's protégés, Richard Bustillo and Ted Wong. She also expanded into Taekwondo, Wushu, and kickboxing, not to follow in Bruce's exact footsteps, but to find her own expression through movement. Her acting career included appearances in Enter the Eagles, Martial Law, and High Voltage. She also worked behind the camera as a producer, notably on the TV series Warrior, based on a concept her father had originally pitched. But Shannon's most lasting impact has been as the steward of Bruce Lee's legacy. As president of the Bruce Lee Foundation and Bruce Lee Enterprises, she's led educational programs, protected her father's image from unauthorized use, and fought legal battles to ensure his name remains respected. In 2003, Shannon and her husband, lawyer Anthony Keasler, welcomed their daughter, Wren Keasler, Bruce Lee's only grandchild. Wren grew up with a deep understanding of her grandfather's philosophies, which Shannon has worked to pass down: honesty, self-expression, and constant personal growth. Though she has faced legal disputes with extended family in Hong Kong, Shannon has maintained a focus on connection rather than division, determined that the Lee name be a unifying symbol, not a fractured one. For Brandon and Shannon, being Bruce Lee's children was never just about fame or martial arts. It was about living in the wake of an extraordinary man while trying to find their own way. Brandon's life was defined by breaking away, even if fate never gave him the chance to fully succeed. Shannon's life has been about preservation, holding the flame so it never goes out. And now, with Wren stepping into adulthood, the question is whether the Lee legacy will remain a story of the past or evolve into something new. Legends never truly die. They live in the movements of those they've inspired, in the words that still echo decades later. For Bruce Lee's children, the story was never just about martial arts. It was about survival, resilience, and finding a place in a world that had already decided who they were. If this story moved you, don't let it fade away. The legacies of Bruce, Brandon, and Shannon are more than dates and headlines. They're living reminders of perseverance, self-expression, and truth. By subscribing, you join us in keeping those stories alive, bringing the hidden chapters of history to light. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and explore more untold stories of the families behind the legends. Every name has a story, and every story deserves to be remembered.